Hi. How are you?
Good.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
I have some questions for you. So what are some things that you think a mayor does?
Take great care of our city.
Try to, yes.
Serve the people and do the stuff that people would like them to do, and
Oh, if you were the mayor, what kinds of things would you want to do? Yes.
I will give everyone ice cream.
You would give everyone ice cream.
I would go party every day.
A party every day.
I would recycle.
Recycle, very good.
I would do my birthday at one half.
You would want your birthday to be a holiday? These are some good ideas. I like these.
I would make sure a lot of things are free.
A lot of things are free, okay. Like what kinds of things?
Well, shopping and
Ooh, the businesses might not like that.
well, I wish money wasn't a thing.
Okay.
Things that you need, like having children, are not currently free right now, but I think that should be free. And like most of the stuff that there's a certain word that I'm looking for, like that you need, the things that you need are free.
I think I understand. The important things, the things that are sort of essential to living, like housing and healthcare and food and some of those kinds of things. Very good. What is your favorite thing about the city of Frederick? School? People are going to like that answer. Go ahead.
I love the whole environment.
The environment? Very good.
I like yummy food.
Yummy food. Do you think Frederick has a lot of yummy food?
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I do that sometimes too.
This on pod to do stuff in our lives and everything about Frederick that is possible.
What's one example of something positive?
Like officers doing the right thing.
You wish grown-ups understood more about kids.
I think parents should understand more about their kid and his issues and their mindset and all that stuff.
That we deserve a yes day.
A yes day. Is that a day when we say nothing but yes?
Yes.
Ooh,
Oh boy.
that sounds scary. I don't know what you would ask. I couldn't promise to say yes to everything in one day. My goodness.
And that's a challenge.
Yes.
Like I will McDonald's. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So easy.
Very good.
Like more of the TikTok Bibles. Like the TikTok dances, because some of them don't understand.
I don't understand TikTok dances. So it would be helpful. If you could teach me about TikTok dances, that'd be helpful because I don't.
Good evening. Oh, there it is. Welcome to this Cultural Connection event this evening, Month of the Young Child. I am Lakeisha Wade. I am the Manager of Equity and Inclusion with the City of Frederick. This month stands as a tribute to the boundless potential of our youngest members, celebrating their growth, creativity, and the joy they bring into our lives. As organizations that serve this important part of our community, you are a constant reminder of the importance of nurturing and supporting our children through their early years, because these formative experiences help to shape their futures and ultimately our collective tomorrow. Thank you for being here to share in this journey and to honor the incredible contributions of our children. and those who care for and educate them. Through every type of diversity, including age, we intend to include everyone and hold space for all the voices to be seen, heard, understood, and supported. But we're not only holding this space for your voices to be heard, we're also providing a platform for your organizations to be found. If you have a nonprofit, we would like for you to scan this QR code. If you know of a nonprofit that you would like to have supported, please scan this QR code. It will allow you to enter information about that event, and we're going to gather this information and make sure that at the end of the year, all of the organizations that have been a part of these events are able to be represented, and it'll be on our city resource site. We want to make sure that you can be found long after these events are no longer here. We have witnessed countless opportunities for collaboration between all of the organizations each month, and we intend to maintain that energy moving forward. Now, please prepare your hearts to hear from the panelists, the voices of our community's children, and please welcome to this stage Mayor Michael O'Connor.
Thank you, Lakeisha. Thank you so much for helping to pull all of this together. My name is Michael O'Connor, and it is such an honor to join you today for this Cultural Connection panel as we celebrate the month of the young child. What a night we have planned. I can tell you that sitting down with those young people at the Boys and Girls Club of Frederick was one of the best parts of my year so far, and there's few things more intimidating than a room full of children who have so much to say and so many ideas. They have a tremendous talent for keeping you humble, and any of you who have children know this already. I came to the experience at the Boys and Girls Club hoping that I might be able to share some wisdom, and I left. You didn't see all of what we did. A full video is going to be prepared and be available through the city, but they reminded me about the truth. They tell the truth about everything. They are so honest, and that is an honesty I think that really needs to be cherished and cultivated, and frankly, it's a model for leaders in governments at every level. If we want to build a better future for our young people, we need to spend time listening to them and with them. So before we dive in, I do want to take a moment to recognize a few of the people. Thank you again, Lakeisha, and to our panelists. We have the Boys and Girls Club, Kaylee and the Frederick Youth Council, and everyone who took time to be here tonight. Thank you for being a part of what we're trying to accomplish in the city of Frederick. A big thank you to Wegmans for providing the refreshments that are out in the lobby, and we appreciate their ongoing commitment and championing our diversity, equity, and inclusion programming, as well as their invaluable partnership every year at our annual Thanksgiving turkey distribution. If you haven't stopped by already, please get some refreshments on the way out at the end. We don't want to have to take anything home. You may have noticed some of the artwork that when you came in this afternoon. That artwork celebrates the month of the young child and is from an exhibition that will be opening this Thursday, April 3rd at City Hall. This exhibition showcases colorful drawings and small sculptures by children ages 2 to 7 who are part of the Frederick's Children of Incarcerated Parents Partnership, or COIP. It also includes photos and personal stories from members of our Frederick Youth Council, highlighting their experiences, challenges, and hopes for their community. We're grateful to COIP and to the Transformative Arts Project for their collaboration in bringing this exhibition to life. That exhibit will be open in City Hall in the lobby when the building is open between Thursday and May the 2nd. We're here tonight to highlight the power of investing in children because these investments shape the bright futures of our youngest residents. And I cannot think of a better time and resources than supporting and uplifting our kids and their families. Children have something that can feel scarce, potential. But the truth is, potential isn't infinite. It grows when it's nurtured. The power of all of us and the strength of a community lies in our ability to support and nurture children. As Hillary Clinton once famously said, it takes a village. And no child succeeds alone. Family, mentors, educators, neighbors, pastors, and organizations all play critical roles in shaping the next generation. And when a community comes together, we can create opportunities and build a foundation for our young people to thrive. The truth is, many of the best and the brightest were shaped by nonprofits. Michael Jordan played basketball at a YMCA. Sally Ride cultivated her passion for science through the Girl Scouts. 4-H inspired Al Gore's advocacy for climate change and sustainability. The Boys and Girls Club instilled confidence and discipline in Denzel Washington. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor was supported by Aspire, which led her to a law career. And countless leaders in Frederick got their starts working in nonprofits. Nonprofits like SHIP of Frederick County, the Housing Authority, Phoenix Academy, I Believe in Me, City Youth Matrix, the YMCA, the Frederick Center, so many others here tonight that play a critical role in shaping and educating children, and by extension, shaping the future of our community and of our world. They help build the next generation of change makers. The nonprofits here tonight are doing the work that matters, and it's needed now more than ever. We have a responsibility to equip our kids with the values and the tools that they need, not just to navigate a world as it is, but to shape it into something better than what they've been given. Right now, I encourage each of you to think about how we can continue to support young children and their families. Whether it's guiding the children in your lives, donating your time or money to a nonprofit, each of us plays a role in shaping that next generation. So thank you in advance to our panelists for sharing your experiences with us and some of the special guests who will be offering questions as part of our panel today. I look forward to the conversation ahead and the ideas and the knowledge that we will share. And as the late, great Whitney Houston sang, because this is now something I'm becoming known for, quoting great Black musicians, I believe the children are our future. And now, join two of our future leaders, our City of Frederick youth apprentices, Emma Carey and Emily Kearns, as they present a look at some of the excellent nonprofits in our area that support children and their families.
Hello everyone, happy month of the young child. My name is Emma Carey and I'm a youth apprentice for the City of Frederick, working in the Human Resources Department.
And I'm Emily Kearns, a youth apprentice in the Communications Department. We're honored to be here today to celebrate the incredible work of nonprofits in our community, particularly those supporting children.
Month of the Young Child was created to raise awareness and celebrate the importance of early childhood development and the needs of young children in general. It's an opportunity to remind communities of the importance of supporting organizations, families, and caregivers that prioritize their roles in fostering a safe, healthy, and enriching environment for children.
In support of our youth and their families, our area nonprofits not only provide essential services such as education, healthcare, and economic support, they also create a sense of community and belonging. For instance, the Housing Authority of the City of Frederick, Maryland engages with Frederick's low and moderate income residents by providing a healthy foundation for economic self-sufficiency through employment and educational supports in safe, affordable housing. They are one of Frederick's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and work to forge affordable, stable, and sustainable communities that bridge housing gaps.
Another cornerstone of our community is the Children of Incarcerated Parents Partnership, also known as COIP, which fosters the growth of strong, resilient, hope-filled children who are impacted by the incarceration of a loved one in the Frederick County region. COIP uses donations and grants to provide the many activities that serve families. Because COIP is led by volunteers, money raised is applied directly into projects such as fun and educational children's activities, a free book nook, and regular sharing fairs at the detention center, parenting workshops at residential recovery programs, respite workshops for the caregivers, scholarships to Frederick Community College for those impacted by incarceration, and so much more.
What an amazing organization. Let's also recognize the outstanding work of the Student Homelessness Initiative Partnership, better known as SHIP. Their mission is to help students that are facing housing insecurity, homelessness, and their impact by breaking the systemic barriers facing Frederick County youth in our community. SHIP has taken the initiative to partner with individuals, organizations, human service agencies, businesses, and government officials to advocate and provide for these often forgotten and overlooked young people.
It's wonderful to see that the youth in our area have a multitude of resources available to ensure that they are never alone in their struggles. Then, as we grow beyond those needs, we have organizations such as the City Youth Matrix that are equipped to take our youth to the next levels in their life. City Youth Matrix believes that every child should have the chance to explore their interests and unlock their full potential. They connect youth to high-quality extracurricular activities, from STEM programs and art classes to outdoor education. They empower the connection for strong family bonds through multiple workshops and engage our full community to support these families through job trainings and scholarship opportunities, which fosters lifelong successes for all.
Beyond these specific nonprofit examples, here in the city of Frederick, we acknowledge the collective impact of all the nonprofits representing our community in creating effective systemic change for not only our youth, but our entire community as a whole. By recognizing the needs of our community, addressing the root causes of inequity, and providing direct support, these organizations are helping to build a stronger, more resilient Frederick.
And although the month of the young child is a perfect time to celebrate the achievements of these particular organizations, we should also be mindful to support these organizations throughout the entire year. Volunteering, donating, or even just spreading the word about their work can make a significant difference in sustaining nonprofit organizations and the people they serve.
Emma, you're absolutely right. As we honor the month of the young child, let us commit to supporting the legacy of these nonprofits by uplifting these organizations year-round. Our nonprofits are a vital part of what makes the city of Frederick one of the best places to live and thrive. So, to all the nonprofits represented here, thank you. Thank you for serving as a beacon of knowledge, pride, resources, and community well-being. Your efforts will not go unnoticed, and we appreciate your contribution to our city.
Thank you all for joining us in the month of the young child recognition and in this meaningful panel discussion. Let's keep the spirit of community support, unity, resilience, and progress alive and well.
So if we can invite our panelists to the stage. So you'll have to dislodge the microphones from their holders. Thank you. So let's just start with introductions. We'll just go right down the line and hear a little bit about you and about the organization that you're here representing today.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Muntz. I'm with the Student Homelessness Initiative Partnership of Frederick County. That is a mouthful, so we say SHIP, like the boat. We work with students who are experiencing homelessness in our community all the way from kindergarten through age 24. So we're working with students in a wide variety of situations to provide one-on-one services that are catered specifically to that student's needs and their barriers. Our goal is always to build capacity in our young people, get them to that next step where they don't need our support anymore, because we know every single one of them will age out of our services. And we know that keeping them connected to education is really key. Young people who don't graduate from high school are 3.5 times more likely to experience homelessness as an adult. So we know that early intervention is really preventing adult homelessness. Thanks so much for having me today.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy Wilkinson with Children of Incarcerated Parents Partnership, or COIP as we call it. We work with children who have been impacted by the incarceration of a loved one, as well as their caregivers in the Frederick County region. We work to mitigate ACEs and do harm reduction by providing normalization of social interactions, normalization and social interactions to children and their families. Thanks.
Thank you for having us. My name is Aaron Vetter. I represent City Youth Matrix. And so what City Youth Matrix, what we do is we connect youth with enrichment programs so they can reach their full potential in life. And a really simple tagline we use is we connect youth. So I kind of just alluded to that. We are really big on empowering parents and parent engagement. And we also engage the community in some really unique ways. So we really call that the matrix. We have a great motto. I remember with livable Frederick and all the research studies that have been conducted here in town and around Frederick. We believe the resources exist. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. Specifically with enrichment programs, we have over 40 enrichment partners. 24/7 dance, I-9 sports, Delaplane Arts Center. They're the experts, but we need to get the children and the parents there. And in some cases, we remove barriers like transportation. We have a fleet of drivers. Often a barrier is cost. We pay 95%, but again, there's a little skin in the game for the parent. They pay 5% monthly, a small fee. And there's many other layers of barriers why youth might not get in those programs that really middle-class America has always accessed for decades. And so all kids, as Martin Luther King Jr. Said in his famous speech, but all kids of all colors and cultures should be on a playground together. And we believe that, and it is a root and a foundation of who we are.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting us to all be a part of this. My name is Jason Francis. I work for the Housing Authority. I'm the Youth Services Coordinator. The Housing Authority, our goal is pretty simple. We just want to provide affordable, safe public housing or affordable housing just for people who, like you mentioned, may not have access to it. And the way that we like to think about it as a nonprofit, I work with the family services side, and there's a couple people here who also do. Charisma is right here at the back. I want to shout you out. She's really incredible. Yeah, we can clap her up. She's pretty fantastic, yes. And so the way that we like to think of it is housing is trying to make sure that we provide a home for the family. And the family services side, which is where I work with, we want to now take care of the family that is inside of the home. So we want to do some of the ACEs reduction. We want to make sure that we're providing food, great opportunities. We want to provide a safe place for the children after school, give them tutoring, help them to connect with other opportunities that they may not usually have. And so we're just all about serving the families that end up in affordable or public housing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will not be asking all of the questions today. We have some special guests that we're going to be introducing, and the first one is right now.
My name is Brooke Lieberman, and I'm the chair of the Frederick Youth Council. What inspired you to start or lead a nonprofit focused on youth services?
I can start with this one at least. What I can say for me is I was a young person in Frederick, and as I just matured and grew into an adult, I saw that there were gaps in my childhood. There were opportunities that I never got to have or never got to be a part of. And so I really dedicated myself to trying to provide what I wish I had when I was a young person. A safe place, an adult that I could speak to, making sure that I have a good meal every single day consistently. And that's what inspired me, was just my own experiences.
So for myself, you know, I still wear 2 hats. I got probably 4 years left in FCPS schools. I'm the phys ed teacher at Lincoln Elementary. I've been there for 23 years. And, but you know, way back I had 3 years in Anne Arundel County. And I remember, you know, it was one of those first days of teaching, and I started to realize it was a Monday, and my students would come and they'd say, hey, you know, Mr. Vetter, you know, I scored a touchdown this weekend, or I was in a dance recital this weekend. And I was like, you know, and just super, you know, excited, connected with them. And inevitably, always would look to the right or to the left of that student and see another student's face where it was very clear they did not have that opportunity. And so from that day until today, and as long as I'm around on this earth, you know, that'll be a part of who we are and what we do with City Youth Matrix. You know, it led to before and after school, you know, volunteer things that we still do over at Lincoln Elementary. But we need that, as I suggested, you know, on a more consistent basis. And so yeah, it became a thing though, wait, you know, I did have these opportunities growing up. Mom, teacher, dad, a Marine, you know, but again, everyone should a kid, it's not ever the kid's fault in these scenarios with something like this. It's not the kid's fault. So come on, we can do that. And we are doing that here in Frederick. So we love that.
Great answers. Well, hard to follow these two. Mine's a little less profound. I started coaching team sports when I was 14 years old. I've been in athletics my whole life. And I was hired at 16 to coach some team sports for a group foster home in Northern Virginia. And I saw a lot of need there, but I was a child myself and not a whole lot to do with it. So I started volunteering with a local community center when I was in college, just looking to help. And I always felt like there were gaps. And so I was moving from one place to another, working with youth in our community and trying to figure out, you know, I'm seeing a need here and moving to an organization that met that need and seeing another need, and it has just been a natural progression for me and something that I've been passionate about, I guess, since I was a teenager.
That was very inspiring. Great job.
Thank you.
So when I was in high school, my younger brother got into some legal trouble. He got into a fight and he had to appear in court. And the courthouse was about 30 minutes from where we lived. And so he didn't have a way to get there, couldn't drive yet. So I took him. And I drove him to the courthouse where I thought we were supposed to go, and the address listed on the paperwork. And they said, nope, you're actually supposed to be over there a few blocks down. So we're running, you know, trying to get there on time. We get to the next building. They said, nope, this building's under construction. You got to go to that building. We ran around the block 6 times before someone could finally tell us this is where you're supposed to go. And he got there 1 minute before they were hearing his case. Because we were able to get there, they expunged his record completely. And he went on to have no issue whatsoever, nothing on his record. But I thought, and I think every day about this, if I hadn't been there to help him navigate, he could have been in a completely different life situation. It really stuck with me. And I think, you know, I look back at all of the choices I've made that got me to this point. It really all stems back from that moment. Our young people need help that they are not provided. And someone has to be there to be that adult force and to stand behind them and make sure that they have every opportunity that they deserve. So I really have been happy to land where I am here in the youth serving nonprofit community, because I feel like every day I wake up and I get to do a little piece of that work.
So you've each talked about it a little bit, and you've touched upon it about underserved. And by definition, underserved means the people that are hard to reach, the people that are difficult to find. And we want to find them. What are the techniques that you use to find the people that are underserved?
It's a really hard question. So I know at SHIP, you know, we have a really strong partnership with Frederick County Public Schools, which is where the majority of our referrals come from, meaning that we work with the school system to identify young people who are experiencing homelessness and would benefit from our services. However, we are frequently doing a lot of other types of community outreach and working with partners to make sure that we are all providing a comprehensive safety net that catches everyone who falls. And it is hard to do. A lot of our young people are not comfortable sharing their story. They don't want to accept service. They don't want to say, yes, I am in need and I need this assistance. But I think, we're fortunate that we have a community that does value working together. And so prior to this event, Amy and I were just in a meeting with the school system talking about how we can all work together to better provide that safety net and find those young people to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have a great relationship with Frederick County Public Schools, as well as the local detention center and the city police all provide our information. So the majority of our clients that are coming in, or the children that are being referred to our program, are being referred, their caregivers being referred by an adult within the justice system in some way. So most of our children, as they enter, are experiencing a massive change and a period of crisis. So we are doing that work immediately when children are referred before they're having access to all the other services. But for the most part, we're having self-referrals, so caregivers referring children.
Yeah, City Youth Matrix is in the same boat with, the school system, different community fairs that they have. Recently Waverly, Crestwood, Lincoln is one we're at often. And, the Mental Health Association, religious organizations, word of mouth, and, really, just kind of just getting our name out there. Yeah.
I would say for us, everything that they said is fantastic. We're also very connected to FCPS as well. But also just supplying the need, we all are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, housing, like a shelter, a space, like even what you're all providing. The people who are in need are gonna reach out because they need it. They need a place to live. And it tends to be the families who connect with us the most are the ones who are in the greatest amount of need. And so they come into our offices and we really use that as an opportunity to say, hey, we want to be that bridge to everything that you need to help get your family to the next level. And they start to really buy in from there. So really just finding what the need is and just really, not in a complicated way, but in a very straightforward way, like, you need a home, we're gonna give you a home. You need to eat, we're gonna give you something to eat. Your grades are bad, we will tutor you. It's just meet that need right exactly where it is.
We're going to build on that with the next question from the screen.
Hi, I'm Anushka Tyagi, and I'm with the Frederick Youth Council. I'd like to ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges you face when serving youth, and how do you address them?
Is there something unique about young
yeah.
people in how you deliver your services, I think is part of what we want to understand.
I think and you all can please add to this as well, but I think one of the challenges that is somewhat inevitable is this tends to be a lot of distrust from a young person towards any organization. That might come from them, that might come from their family background. They don't know if we give information, is this going to be used against us one day? So I would say that is one of the biggest challenges. One, just being like, hey, we're going to show up, we're going to be reliable. We're not going to be the people who show up one day and then just won't show up again. Because I will say, and you mentioned ACEs as well, a lot of the children who've had a lot of people who've just kind of failed them already in life, they're going to be very reticent to open up and receive services like that. And so that's why that consistency is so key. And finding the people, especially if you're working with volunteers, finding the people who are going to keep showing up and being consistent enough to build the trust for our young people to lean into.
I would say for us, one of the largest challenges is based on the Alice research. You know, there are at least over 10,000 local youth that are not in ongoing enrichment programs, okay? So that means each season of the year. They don't need to be doing 2 or 3 necessarily at all. In fact, we don't recommend that. But so it's how do we, as a younger nonprofit, almost 7 years, stay focused on and grounded in our standard operating procedures in kind of a rinse and repeat process, because our model is not very complex. It's pretty simple. And we're at that point now to scale. And we're excited about that because the need is great. It's just, and I think now, with my teaching job, we talk about battling the bots, but like, battling screen time. And, now more than ever, I think, based on the information age, kids getting in-person, hands-on experiences, whether it's on a ball field, in a science lab, or with an instrument in their hand, or, some clay and modeling. The need is great. And, but we're getting there. And of course, we do it with our partners as well.
It's a bit of a tough question. I would say the biggest thing for COIP that's an issue is that we're talking about families who have had something traumatic happen very abruptly without any expectation. And so our families are coming to us often in a form of survival mode where they're looking for basic needs, and anything additional is it can be cumbersome and it can be a barrier to access of services. So when I'm asking a caregiver who now is taking care of children that they didn't expect to be taken care of, or a family who had 2 adults in the household now only has 1, and I'm asking them to do something extra to access services, those are challenges that it's not necessarily working with children, but the children primarily in our programs are reliant on their caregiver to provide transportation and access to these services. And so when you take somebody who's going through something challenging and you ask them to do more with less, a big challenge for us as far as working with kids is just getting them in front of us.
That's a great point. We work with a lot of unaccompanied young people, and this means that someone could be 15, 16, 17, not yet hitting that 18 threshold to be considered an adult by most systems, but their parents have been gone for a long time. So they've been living pretty much on their own for a long time. However, our systems are not set up to respect that autonomy and that leadership that they've earned on their own. So our young people are often, used to really having to fight their own battles and find their own, food, shelter, everything else. But they also can't, get access to some of those adult services and resources that we would recommend a parent go to because they haven't hit 18 yet. The young people who fall into that, 16, 17 kind of gray area, as we call it, who are experiencing homelessness are often our hardest to serve because there is so little available to them, but they are so clearly not a child in any way. So that's pretty challenging for us, and I know everyone on this stage is working hard to address all of these populations.
You've all talked a little bit about partnerships. Can you talk more about the partnerships with other nonprofits, the business community, schools that are really positive, and maybe partnerships that you wish you could cultivate farther? You raise your microphone first, Aaron. It's you.
Well, so a direct partnership with COIP, we have at least, I don't know where it keeps going up, but 4 or 5 families that are full members with City Youth Matrix that are also being provided services by COIP, and it's just kind of word of mouth, and they again hear about us at a fair or through our conversations, and but we're filling different needs. Each, what COIP is doing, what CYM does. Another really positive experience is really partnering with over 40 local businesses. We're approaching, I think now are over in 6 years, $300,000 back into the local economy because of our model. And again, it exists. So, in some cases, city funding through the blessing of funding that we've received there is going back into city parks and rec programs, which is kind of neat. It's very reciprocal, but that's positive. It's being able to look at that child, during the school day with my other job, and just that they have these same opportunities with some really incredible, the instruction they're receiving from, some of these companies, Spire Arts. This summer, in fact, David Smith from Get Kids Outside is here today. We're taking 12 youth to Yellowstone National Park. And that is,
I wanna
yeah, I know. Fortunately, I'm one of the chaperones. I can't go. But yeah, that is very positive. We are going to be literally, the kids are going to get a book sign and be, hiking around in Yellowstone with the guy that brought the wolves back in Yellowstone. And I mean, to be able to give a kid these kind of experiences, it's just plant this seed. Last week with woodworking with FPD, you just never know. It could be a hobby of woodworking, or maybe they go into, contracting or something. So anyway, it's very positive local business connections.
I would want to talk to you a little bit later, because earlier, before, we were talking about your recent experience with kids at Weaverton Cliffs, and now you're going to Yellowstone. So that's
Yeah, I know,
that's a whole nother level.
That's why we trust David Smith and get kids out.
Partnerships.
I can speak a little bit to that, but it's sort of hard. I want to start by saying that Frederick County is incredibly collaborative as far as the nonprofits go, and I can almost guarantee that we all have clients that are, engaged with one or another of our services because of a referral from one of these organizations. So with that said, I would consider all of us collaborators, but it's hard to name organizations, so I just have a brief anecdote to sort of illustrate how the collaborations impact the children in our programs. We had a family join our program about 3 weeks ago. There were 3 little boys, a baby, and 2 older kids. Their father had been incarcerated, or is still incarcerated, and their mother passed away earlier this month. And the kids are living with their grandmother, and the grandmother wasn't expecting it, did not have a plan for it, and wasn't sure what she was going to do to keep her job over the summer when the kids got out of school. And because of the collaborations and partnerships in the community, I was able within 2 weeks to get both of the boys enrolled in the WISE Camp Westmar for sleepaway camp. The little baby has been enrolled in early Head Start through the Y, so that he'll have a place to go during the day so grandma can keep her job. In addition, the rest of the summer, the boys are going to be going to the Boys and Girls Club for free for the whole day, so that grandma is able to keep them engaged in programs and have positive experiences throughout the summer. And I'm incredibly grateful for those collaborations. I can't say enough good things about my partnership with all the organizations in the community, especially the Y, who has given us office space. What's up, Chris? And just been incredibly generous. So I'm very grateful that we live in a county, in an area that is collaborative and not competitive, as we serve families who need the most help.
Such a great point. And truly, if there is any example of perfect community partnership, YMCA, oh my gosh.
I know, right?
What would we all do without them? Wow. In our organization, I really am proud of the work that we've done to help our students access college and further education. I know when I started in this role, one of the gaps that we identified pretty quickly was that young people were signing up to go to college, right? They were graduating, and that was awesome, and we were so happy they graduated, and then they never made it there. And so we started to take a look at why, and there were a lot of reasons. So we've done a lot of work to wrap around them, providing case management not just through the end of high school, but following them, through their first semester of college to make sure that that ball isn't dropped. There's a bridge, there's a natural bridge. And one of the ways we've done this is partnering with our local colleges. So we work directly with Mount St. Mary's, Hood College, and with Frederick Community College to have an open dialogue about every single student, of course with the student's permission, who has applied and been accepted to those colleges throughout the time, from the time they start their FAFSA all the way through the time that they're completing their first semester. And what that has done is not only allowed more and more students to go to these schools, but it's made them more successful. When they run into a barrier, we had a student last year who called us, a week before school started and said, I no longer have access to a car. I'm staying in Mount Airy, and I'm supposed to start at FCC next week. What am I going to do? And because he knew to call us, and because he still had a case manager, and because we were still involved, we resolved the problem before his first day ever came. And he went, and he finished his first semester successfully, and he will probably continue. We are so lucky to have colleges that are willing to work with us right in our backyard. offering a variety of different school experiences. So Hood, for example, has worked so hard with us on financial aid. Every single student that goes through our 5-week summer academy program gets a $4,000 scholarship to Hood. Every single student. And what that scholarship does is not just give them the money. It does. I mean, that's wonderful and a big part of it. But it tells that student, you have a chance to go here. We want you. We care about you. And college is an option. And that is so important to tell our young people who have come from these vulnerable situations. Anything you want to do can be an option, and we will help you get there.
That's really cool. Just to add, I mean, they've shared it so beautifully. We have several organizations that will come and do workshops for our families and for our young people. Like last week, PNC came by to talk finance with our kids. Goodwill will come by and teach them like really valuable job skills. So 100%, partnerships is like, that's the name of the game. That's how we get further. And exactly like you said, like Frederick is so impressive to me in that everybody just wants to collaborate. It's like we just have this shared passion of just doing what's right for these people. And it's extremely inspiring to see. Yeah.
Back to the screen.
Hi, I'm Judah from the Frederick Youth Council. My question is, how do you ensure that the voices and opinions of young people are included in your decision-making processes?
I love this question. I love it. We at SHIP, and I think everyone on the stage here, we're really big on youth choice. So what that means is we're never telling the young person, here's what you should do and here's where you should go. We're presenting all of the options and saying, which one do you like? And let us wrap around and help you get there. And one of the ways that we make sure that our programming stays informed in that way is we have an active youth action board. So these are young people with lived experience of homelessness who meet on a biweekly basis at the SHIP office and sometimes in the schools, and help to review everything we're doing and promote what they believe is the right path, so that our programming is always informed by the youth who have been served by it previously. And they check us, right? They make sure that we aren't pushing anyone down a path, that we are making sure to ask the young person, what do you want to do? And then supporting them accordingly, even when it goes against every fiber in our beings. We want them to make choices, and we want what we're doing to reflect them. We shouldn't be making choices about them without them.
Well, my answer is probably going to be pretty boring. We survey. But we also have an advisory committee, and for children that are old enough to tell us what they need, we do have those conversations with them. We also meet with caregivers regularly to ensure that they're feeling like the programming is in line with what they're hoping and that their child is receiving benefit from it. So yeah, we have advisory boards of caregivers and of the children themselves.
I think for CYM, one of the clearest examples is through one of our ongoing volunteers is our family liaisons. And what they are doing in monitoring and checking in and sharing upcoming events or workshops or dinners that we're doing. They're also just monitoring with their parent partner, we call them, where their child is. And we're big believers for grade school youth to try everything, not all at once, but to try, just because, they may have a lot of experience in athletics, to consider taking working like this summer with Centro Hispano with their camp and STEM, and just getting a diversity of learning experiences. You just never know, obviously how that might impact. And so, I think that working through our family liaisons and making sure that they are asking those questions is giving the parents the understanding that they need to be speaking and working with their kids and giving the kids that freedom to I would imagine a lot of us have heard stories about the child that gets burnt out on, wrestling or sports of something because they had the overbearing parent. And that's something that we work, really on a daily basis in our communication with our family liaisons to prevent.
I think for us, we've just worked really hard to make sure that our young people feel ownership of our programs. So they're not just participants, they are also like almost like young leaders as a part of it. So their voices really matter. And they treat it like home. Like I almost wish you could see it, like each day after the kids get out of school, they come from Lincoln, they come from the other schools in the schools in the area, and they will walk right into our offices. Right there's Charisma and Christiana's office. This is a main office where people are coming for meetings, and the kids will just walk right in, get themselves a snack, sit down, talk about their day. If they have opinion about something, like, why don't y'all try this? Why don't you put this in it? Like, they will give us ideas because they just feel that level of comfort and relationship to say, hey, I think these are things that we could try in the program. And honestly, some of the best ideas will come from these young people because they live in it, so they're thinking about it. And so, yeah.
They have a lot of opinions about food.
They do.
A lot of opinions, yes.
Yes,
And they are not shy.
They are
Let
not.
me tell you how gross this snack is. Okay.
Yes.
One of the great things about working with kids is you don't have to prompt feedback. They'll just tell you.
Don't I know it? Back to the Youth Council.
Hello, my name is Sadell Nku, and I'm a part of the Frederick Youth Council. My question today is, how does your organization adapt its programs to meet the changing needs of the youth in the community? In Frederick.
I think just kind of continuing on even what we were just saying, I think, we take the feedback very seriously. When the young people or their families, they share something, as things are changing, like we have gone through with Housing Authority a huge transition. We used to work out of the PAL Center that's over in Lucas Village, and that entire neighborhood has been essentially shut down. And so we've had to pivot and move to another space in the Carver community, and then there's a new building that was built there that we're pivoting to. So it really is, as the needs change, we gotta adapt. We have to be wherever the people are, so.
I think for City Youth Matrix, since the get-go, one of the big aspects of research that really fed our mission was the ACEs research from, Kaiser Permanente, and there's 3 ways that a child that has experienced traumatic experiences, but you could overlap this with anything mental health, but 3 ways that a child can gain and in some cases literally heal their brain is through relationships with people, which is a big part of who we are, but also relationships with nature and relationships with animals. And so through the outdoor education experience and initiative that we have, that is a continuing, it just continues to evolve, and it's good timing because it's just different these days sometimes when you're in a neighborhood. Sometimes you don't hear tons of kids outside playing. And that's something that, we want to work to kind of get back maybe to where we believe it should be. And so, whether it's Nevada, Sergeant Corrado and Frederick Police Department or Maggie Lee bringing Fred or other families bringing their animal on a hike, and connecting, but also some of our youth, just a couple in particular, one that I know is going on Yellowstone, but is just a magnet, and they find like lizards or salamanders, and then the other kids are looking at it, and it's just neat to see that connection. It's just really built into appreciate, if an overnight camping trip we did at Gambrel, and another one coming up, in May at February Star Sanctuary and with Get Kids Outside. But just the healing power really of just sitting next to a stream or a campfire. The 10 families that went camping with us in the fall at Gambrel had never been on a camping trip before. And then a few months before that, all the families that did our campfire cooking, none of them had been around a campfire before. And it's sometimes hard for us to fathom that. But now they have, and the seed's planted. And we see it in their eyes, and that is, I guess, just really, overcoming and adapting to what kids today have experienced, and removing those barriers and making the outdoor experience just something that is just second nature to them.
Yeah, I mean, it really just follows the last question, which is accepting feedback. I think one of the point of having an advisory board or surveying is to find out, are these programs working? Are they working for the people we are currently serving? And if not, how do we pivot to make sure that we're providing programs that are interesting and effective? I would say primarily our kids are giving us regular feedback. For example, a couple months ago, I learned that Legos are now lame, and that was news to me. I know, that's what I said.
That sounds wrong.
Well, it was a bummer because it was a whole Lego activity day that we had planned. So, yeah, what are you going to do? So we won't be doing that one again. But, yeah, so,
It'll be back in a few years.
Well, probably it'll come back around. But I think just listening and being open and receptive to believing that children have the ability to tell you what they want and what they need, and allowing yourself to hear that and move forward with that information, I think is just how we keep our programs, in tune with the changes.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's data. It's data and feedback. We try really, really hard to watch for trends. And if if anyone asks us, why are we doing something? And all we can say is, well, we've done this before, then that program should be immediately canceled. There should be no more questions. We're done. We don't do that anymore. There has to be a reason
harsh.
and a need. That's true, though. I think there has to be a reason and a tangible need, and that has to all be recent in order for it to make sense for us to keep doing something. If we're never changing, then we will never be serving the community, because as you just pointed out with the Legos, and you're absolutely right, the young people that we're serving today are totally different than the young people we served 3 years ago and those that will serve 3 years from now. And that's okay. We can handle that, but we all have to be receptive to that change and working with the feedback that we get.
A linchpin question for you coming.
Hi, my name is Thomas Evans. I'm the Vice Chair of the Frederick Youth Council. And my question is, how do you measure the success and effectiveness of programs for youth?
Survey. I'm sorry, I'm sick of myself giving this answer. I'm sorry to all of you. Yeah, I survey. I don't know.
We're all really nerdy if you haven't caught on to that. It's a great question. So I know for SHIP, every young person that we work with, when they come into us initially, we rate them on an objective vulnerability scale in a variety of areas. So do they have access to housing? Do they have access to food? Do they have access to a mentor? Do they have access to a family member? Yeah. And there are different scores, each one can give based on what their situation is. It's not a yes or no, it's like a scale 1 to 5. We do this when they first come in to work with us, and then we do it every 3 months. And the way that we know we're successful with a young person is that vulnerability score decreases. They have more capacity and less vulnerability as they move through our programming and when they leave us than they did when they came to us, which means we have helped them to be a more self-sufficient adult when they inevitably someday leave our service, and to be able to access their own resources in a way that they wouldn't have before without our help.
Yeah, we do something very similar, but it's a checklist. So we're checking for housing, food security, transportation, education, daycare, all of those things, just basic needs, and making sure that those are available or met. And if they're not, then we work to make sure that everyone has access to those basic needs. We don't recheck every 3 months. It's every 6 or at a year, depending on the engagement. And so we get to know the clients and we spend time with them, and that sort of indicates to us whether or not things have been successful. Does a person have housing that wasn't stable before? Do they have a car where they were taking the bus before? Not that that's the end goal for everybody. The bus is great.
We love the bus.
We do love the bus. Yeah.
Fund the bus.
Yes, please. But yeah, so just have there been changes? Have they been positive? If not, reevaluating.
So for City Youth Matrix, we are also using surveys and tools to measure social, emotional, academic, as well as now graduation rates. We have a much larger pipeline now. We've only had one graduate of high school that's now in college, but that's going to be continuing to rise. And so we're looking at post-secondary data. That said, though, again, with the parent engagement, we're big on that. So when the parent enters our program and applies, there's a partner agreement. And so we're really measuring to make sure, excuse me, that parent is meeting the requirements of that agreement. Things such as attendance at workshops, making sure they're getting the child into the ongoing enrichment programs. Are they coming to the dinners? We are huge believers in community, and for many reasons, one of which is other parents getting jobs and networking. I think we're also closely monitoring the parents. I would also say measuring success for us, I mentioned engagement of the community. So we're really seeking to go deeper with our volunteers, not just do we get to check a box that they volunteered for us, but how deeply engaged are they? How much is the volunteer experience, how much does it mean to them? And because we believe if we meet their needs and also their concerns and address those, it's going to make us better, because we talk about reciprocation, but the matrix and new things being born. And so many volunteers have brought ideas to us for ways to tweak some of our systems or to create a new initiative. And so we want this experience, really this movement, to be something that is clicking on all cylinders, just to say, and for everyone.
For us, it's pretty cool. We kind of get to see it with specific milestones, usually related to career, to academics, or to behavior. We'll get a student who initially is coming to us because they're getting in a lot of trouble at school, or they're kind of being a menace in the neighborhood, in the community, and we start to see that go down. We get less calls home, we get less suspensions, we get to see that as progress. We have a student who, I'm so proud of a kid that I got to work with even this week. He's so proud that he has essentially straight A's. He has like all A's and then like an 89 in one class. And several years ago, when I first started working with him, that was not the case. And we worked to okay, let's see if we can get all C's. Okay, let's see if we can get to B's. Can we get to honor roll? Can we get to straight A's? And we get to see him succeed. And the other really cool way is, of course, with graduations and then them moving into college. I'm so proud of those moments when we get to all celebrate a child who has made that decision. Sometimes they're the first member of their family to actually make it into college. And sometimes we know college is not for everybody, but also just making sure that they have the skills for a job that they can be excited and passionate about to move forward. So that's kind of how we get to see the progress.
A last question from our youth council.
Hello, I am Carter from the Frederick Youth Council.
Hello, and I'm Brianna from the Frederick Youth Council. And we were wondering, how can youth in the community contribute to
or support your organization's missions and initiatives?
This is part of empowering the child. We have now numerous high school volunteers, and FCPS does a great job of requiring that for part of their, academic and graduation progress. And so they come and, we just had, actually on some of that video on that hike, there were two high school, one was, I think, TJ, and one was Frederick High interpreters. And also, though, they qualify as a workshop assistant. So they come up, and it was beautiful because we have, it was a Spanish-speaking mom, and just hiking up the mountain and being able to just connect, and as a result of these two high school girls, and it was really a great experience. So then I kind of hiked up in front, and I was carrying baby and kind of hanging with her, and then behind those two high school girls are like just having a conversation with mom, just in Spanish, but and just enjoying life to its fullest, and that's high school volunteers, and just to see that is a great way, and we look forward to continuing to work with the Youth Council, because these are we've seen them around, and they're great leaders, and I think can share these opportunities with others.
I kind of piggyback on similarly, like high school volunteers, those are some of our strongest tutors that we have in our program. They work with the elementary school, they work with the middle school. I even have my daughter is one of our volunteers now, and she comes in and she works with a couple middle schoolers, and it's valuable. You see it enriches them. They're learning some skills in leadership, and they really get to pour into our young people. And one of the coolest things that I've seen very recently, actually this week, me and my wife saw this week, one of my young people, again, several years ago, I met her. She was a little ragamuffin, and everyone was like, oh, she's trouble, she's a problem child. And as we all
Your
know,
wife's
there's
making
no
faces
problem
at you.
child, right? You know, there's no problem child. There's a child who might have some problems. But, you know, we've worked with her for years, and now she's come back to actually, she's graduated. She just turned 18, and she's getting ready to work for the Housing Authority as one of our tutors. So it's literally come full circle for her, from volunteering to now actual employment. So it's one of the coolest ways that I get to see it happen.
I would say if you are interested in helping your nonprofit community, find a nonprofit that speaks to you, that you feel passionate about, and ask them what they need, and then be open to it. A lot of times people will come to us and say, I really want to do this for you. And it might sound like a great idea, but there might be a reason why we're not doing that, or why that might not be the most helpful thing. So trust your nonprofit community and ask them what they need. And if you really don't want to ask, the answer is always money. You know, if you want to have you want to have a lemonade stand and give us the money, no questions, great, I'll be there, I'll accept the check. But really, there often are a lot of great volunteer opportunities. It just kind of depends what you want to do and who needs that service the most. I also think it's totally okay to ask us if we need a particular thing, and if we say no, to just not be offended and move on to another nonprofit. That's okay too. If you have an idea and you want to float it, we'll gladly listen. The answer might be no, and that doesn't mean we don't value what you're bringing to the table. So yeah, I think, be open-minded and ask the questions, or fundraise.
Well, I can't say it better than that, so I'm going to say what she said.
It's wonderful to hear you talk about the work that you do every day with such passion and dedication. And we are grateful as a community that you are taking on these important roles in supporting young people and their families in our community. Thank you so much. Can we thank our guests? I hope that they will be able to stick around after we're done. If we've got any questions to ask, any of them want to follow up on anything that you heard today, we certainly know that they are available. The opportunity to reach out to any of these organizations is always there for all of you. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us this evening, being a part of this Cultural Connections panel today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.